Hey folks. Okay, so I'm going to carry on from the Shostakovich Symphony 15, first movement. Um, I've already gone through the first 40 bars of the opening of this symphony, and in this video, I'm going to just carry on with the next 40 bars. I won't go into too much detail because obviously you can just reference the other video. Um, but yeah, let's just have a listen. Let's listen from the beginning because I think it just would be good to refresh our memories. So, taking a look at this theme, remember we dissected this very first phrase into sort of two motives. A, which is the rising arpeggio, B, which is the descending minor third, and then as the phrase elaborates, we have this sort of sort of thing in sixths, which we're calling motive C, and then there's this little scalic figure, which we're calling motive D. Um, and yeah, it's good to just have bear this in mind because um, as the music develops, he's using fragments of these motives and doing all sorts of interesting things with it. Okay, so let's have a listen up until bar 80. Okay, so there's quite a lot of things to talk about. So obviously, up until bar 40, we've had solo flute. We've got this solo flute melody playing the theme. Pizzicato strings are playing these very bare sort of dyads, basically, and the dyads uh, doubled at the octave is actually a common. It's a common thing that he's doing throughout the piece, throughout the first 40 minutes, 40 throughout the first 40 bars. And we have this little glockenspiel sort of introducing, and as I mentioned in the last video, Shostakovich said that he thought this movement was like a toy shop. So there's kind of a mechanical sort of buzzes and whirs and clicks and those sorts of gestures and sounds. Anyway, so as we get to the sort of end of the kind of first statement of this theme, the bassoon, there's a solo bassoon takes over, and I've written here, are we repeating from bar 24? There's an added note, but it's basically a transposition. But it's basically a transposition up a minor third of bar 23, 24. So if I just head back to 23, 24, it's this music here. So etc. So we that kind of scale up, and so if we were to transpose it up a minor third, it would be, and we just added that note of the F sharp, and then we have this this little thing here. Now, I see this as a little alteration of the so the second part of that. I see that as the B motive, but it's sort of jumbled. It's been reversed or retrograde if you're thinking of it in terms of serialism. But Shostakovich, as far as I'm aware, was not a serialist composer. He didn't use strict systems to generate his material. But I think what he does do is he looks at intervals, and he'll take a row of notes and modify it in the same way that serialist composers might do that. But it's very much a free. He does it very freely. But so if we take this. I just see that minor third shape from the E flat down to the C. Do you hear what I'm getting at? I'm not explaining it very well, but it's just that there's that sort of minor third shape. And it's not an exact transposition, because if it was, the D would be a natural, not a flat. So anyway, and on top of that, you have the strings. They're moving on now. So we've moved from pizzicato to arco, and it's a bit like what we've had before. It's this kind of stoppy-starty motor rhythm. But they outline the this minor third shape as well. So you have this like 1, 2, 1. Thickened into two parts. Again, it's these dyads. It's just 2-note chords, and then we're doubled at the octave. Yeah, and he uses that sort of that idea throughout the whole thing, really, throughout this whole section. of dyads doubled at the octave, and it fills that space, you know. So you've kind of got, you've got the space of sort of just over 2 octaves covered. Yeah, so that sound is filled. So yeah, we have that. So, and Shostakovich does this all the way through this, where he sets something up, and then he'll do something to subvert it. You know, each time that there's a repetition, he's doing something to it, and it's just constant. We never settle into just, you know, a simple repetition. So we've got this minor third, but then it's this chromatic kind of, yeah, I don't know, it's unexpected. Okay, so this next bit, repeat of 26, but we're in 3/4 now and switching between fifths and minor seconds, or minor ninths, I should say. And the second bar, the top line, starts to reach further. So something that happens, that starts to happen over these next 2 bars is what I say here. The accompaniment is a series of rising chromatic phrases. So if I just play you the, I'm just going to play the top line here, and just listen to the top line, and you'll hear that it's a series of rising phrases that are chromatic, and each succession of phrases is getting a little higher in pitch and tessitura. So let's just listen from this section. So. I mean, actually, yeah. Let's carry on from there. Sorry to. And then we get onto this next bit here. But do you hear how it's a series of rising phrases. And, you know, we're starting here this G, and by the end we're up here. You know, so it's a range of an octave and a half over the course of however many bars that is. So yeah, let's just look at this bassoon solo, because I think it's really interesting. Sorry, I'll get Sibelius to do it. Here we go. The cellos and basses take over the theme there. And yeah, so what we have is a sort of series of these motives, a tapestry of the motives. You know, so this part here is it's a repeat of this part here. I'll just play this bit from here. this part here. So yeah, I mean, it's difficult to pick out, but this is the same music. You know, it's on the beat accompaniments. It's these open fifths, but then, whereas before it was just, yeah, and it's interesting this. If we just look at the lower part of this dyad, and then onto the sixths, it's this sort of. I don't know if it's just. I don't know if it's just him keeping the dyad of the G and the D going, whilst this chromatic note. You know, because he could have had a third voice there, but we're strictly keeping to two voices. So is this lower part? Is it an arpeggio of the dyad? So anyway, that's sort of what I see happening. Yeah, so we've had this kind of statement, repetition, elaboration, and then we get back to this opening motive in the original key, but in this lower octave. So as you can hear, it's much, it's been harmonically shifted a lot, even though the very first two statements are, well, apart from the, you know, it's almost exactly the same. And then we get onto the sixths. Sorry, I played a wrong note. And there's some beautiful, beautiful things, beautiful sort of sixths, chords in sixths, moving in opposite direction. If I just play the bassoon part as chords, you get this. Yeah, this bar here, if I just play these as chords, you get these beautiful sort of contrary motion in these sixths, and it's gorgeous. It sounds like something Mark Anthony Turnage would write. And funnily enough, because I don't know if you know this, but I had private lessons with Mark Anthony Turnage, and one of the things he told me about composing, I mean, I don't know if he said it was like the most important thing, but certainly one of the most important things is good voicings, just putting notes together that sound good together, and I think this is a great example of it. It's just yeah, just they sound good as chords by themselves. All right, let's move on. Yeah, you have to forgive these are really confusing. This is me trying to just try and show where the notes are landing their quartal voicings. So this first one, yeah, so here, it was just to show that this A flat, this chord lands, and we have this sort of A flat. Sorry. We have this kind of quartal voicing, and then in the next bar, we have another quartal voicing with the F, and then when we get to this one, it's a little different. So it's, you've got the A in there as well. You could, if you were to do an inversion, chord inversion, you could put that G down to the G flat and the G flat onto the G, and you'd have a quartal shape. But it's a you know, if you want to think of it in terms of major and minor, well, just that fourth is a perfect fourth against the G, whereas in the F, it's a raised fourth. See, those two are the same. If you transpose it up to G, it would be that with the C sharp, but we've actually got C natural. And so again, this is another thing where I think Shostakovich, he sets up a pattern, and then either the second time he repeats it or the third time he repeats it, it's subverted in some way. So yeah, so just this phrase. Yeah, I'll just play that bit from, we'll just do the pickup line into it. Okay, so now, the next section, the next part of it, rather, I should say, because this is still the main theme. So the melody is now in the cello and basses, doubled at the octave. So this is the first time we've actually heard the main theme doubled at the octave, because up until now it's been two solo instruments. It's been solo flute and then solo bassoon. So now we get this sort of very strident version of the melody. And again, we have this do, da, do, di, do, da, motive D, I'm calling it, which is, I guess, the sixth figure. I don't mean motive D, I mean motive C, don't I? But now it's been widened to sevenths. So we get. Very cool. And then we have this the accompaniment figure. Up until now, it's been almost exclusively dyads. Now we introduce dyads. We introduce triads. Excuse me, as the piece builds. Again, doubled at the octave. And actually, here the accompaniment comes in ahead of the melody. But it comes a bar later. So instead of the accompaniment being a sort of a response in the gaps to the main theme, the accompaniment appears just before it. Let's just listen to this passage quickly. Also, we're shifting over from the strings to some winds here. We've got the horns. Oh, that's covering actually. Yeah. So the four horns are sort of the bottom four notes of the chord, and then we have an oboe and a clarinet on the two top notes each. Also, we will start to get a harmonization of this main theme. You get that sort of E dominant 7 shape on the B, which implies we're going to land on A. Doesn't happen, of course, because that would be too obvious. Instead, we get this. We get this sort of crunchy. Yeah, and then we get this sort of augmented seventh chord, and actually all of the winds are playing an E triad. It's only the first violin that picks this C natural. I don't know why he's done that. It is carried over from the chord before, and there's a lot of double stopping, so it could be a practical thing, but it sort of, I guess it serves as like a bit of an echo. So the C is overhanging, and you've just got that C hanging over. We get this sort of weird, I'm calling it a sardonic fanfare with a horn counter melody over this sort of dum 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 dum. You know, so we know what this rhythm is from, but we haven't really heard this dee ba dee ba da beep ba dee ba dee ba da beep da. It just sounds like a, I don't know, like a silly, just this kind of banal kind of thing. Dee da dee da dee dum dee da dee da dee dum dum cha dum cha dum cha da. But it's a new, I'd say it's a new, you know, he's introducing a new idea here. And this is bar 66. And the strings respond. It gets very crunchy here, back to dyads, doubled at the octave, but very dense chromatic harmony before we sort of get back into a big statement of the main theme in 3 octaves in woodwinds. But we'll get to that. Let's just have a listen to this this bizarre fanfare. Yeah, so let's just listen to the bass line. Yeah, so it's just very clever the way he's basically using the same rhythms, but the intervals are just becoming gradually wider, and you know he's doing rhythmically it's the same basically. Yeah, and woodwinds are playing. Yeah, I don't know what to say about this. You've kind of got contrary motion happening. with the horn, you kind of, and then it goes back down. Okay, so, and this stuff, I just don't even know where to begin with this. Spend too much time on that bit. Anyway, this is the here we have the big statement of the main theme in 3 octaves in woodwind. A flat scooping up to the A chord, but with secondary dominance added. The accompaniment, we go back to the open fifths in a simple umpar with diminuendo, putting the brakes on. We're transitioning. This part in the violins. It's the D motive, but now instead of widening those intervals, we're now squashing the intervals. I've asked, is it an echo of this sardonic fanfare at bar 66, or are we just getting smaller as we transition down, ready to get into the next themes that he's going to use? Sequence, but transposed to the F sharp area. Oh yeah, so this is so we've got this sort of. And then it transposes to F sharp, but all the while we've got this A pedal happening underneath. And then it shifts to this E flat. And I hear these last bars as a pedal. It's an E flat pedal. Again, putting the brakes on. And is this a dominant pedal? Because we're about to go to sort of second themed, second subject area. And you know, if this was a Haydn symphony, we'd be going to, I guess, either the dominant or possibly even the subdominant. So is this A now dominant chord? No, it's not, because of the G sharp. But then E flat. Where are we going from here? Also, another thing I wanted to just say about this E flat is that we hear the Glock again, and this sort of last these last sort of, how many bars have we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, this sort of last eight-ish bars is really like we're recapping here before we move on to the next music, and so we hear the Glock here. It's the first thing we hear of the piece, this sort of high pedal note, if you like, and then just before we move on to new music, we hear the glockenspiel again, and we have the 3-octave woodwind line again, but this time it's actually whereas here we have a piccolo on the top line and then 2 oboes and 2 clarinets down here. I guess because it's transitioning down, we only have single instruments. We have a single flute, single oboe, a single clarinet, and these are the strings here. So yeah, just an interesting thing to observe. So thanks for watching, and I hope that was interesting. I'm just sort of doing this really just for my own enjoyment, and I'm just sharing these videos because it helps me sort of formulate what I see happening. Um, I'm not great at articulating it, but hopefully that'll get a bit better as I do more of these. Um, yeah, thanks for watching, and let's have another listen, and we'll see you in the next video. Here we go.